The Premier League has never looked like this before. Champions of England, kings of Europe, Club World Cup winners, Carabao Cup holders, every giant is back with fire in their eyes. Manchester City are out for revenge. Manchester United are reborn from the ashes. Arsenal look like genuine title contenders. And Liverpool, last season's champions, are reloaded under a ruthless new vision. Forget everything you knew about last season, because this time it's not football, it's war. Crossed sword. Last season was, frankly, a disappointment. The Premier League, once known as the most unpredictable league in the world, became boring, predictable, and almost unwatchable. Fans felt it. Excitement dipped. Drama disappeared. And viewership dropped by a shocking 10%. Liverpool ran away with the title far too early, turning the race into a formality. Manchester City looked like a shadow of their true selves. United were painful to watch, Chelsea had no fight in them, Arsenal once again collapsed under pressure, and Tottenham? They finished 17th, one place above relegation, an embarrassment for a supposed top club. The problem was simple. Predictability kills football. No real battles. No real rivalry. No chaos. Just routine results. But now, this season is different. Every top club has reloaded their weapons, rebuilt their squads, and reignited their ambitions. Managers have sharpened their tactics. The transfer window was a war zone, and every giant came out with reinforcements. Liverpool, despite lifting the trophy, knew they were flawed. Arne Slot saw the cracks. He knew Mohamed Salah couldn't carry the entire attack forever. Nunez was misfiring, Hoda's tragic car accident left a hole in the squad, and when Trent Alexander-Arnold left for Real Madrid, Liverpool's creativity dropped off a cliff. Slot refused to waste time. He rebuilt immediately. In came Florian Wirtz, a magician who doesn't just create chances. He scores goals from midfield, finally giving Liverpool the Coutinho-type threat they've lacked for years. Then came Hugo Ekitike, one of Frankfurt's brightest sparks, recruited to provide the clinical finishing Nunez never delivered. Defensively, instead of chasing a Trent clone, Slot changed the system, signing a more aggressive, forward-minded right-back to transform the attack from deep. On the left, Kirk arrived, a fullback capable of bombing forward while still locking down the flank. This is not the same Liverpool. This is a ruthless, rebuilt machine. And they're not the only ones. Manchester City want revenge after falling short, Arsenal are hungrier than ever, and United's rebirth has shocked the league. This isn't just another Premier League season. It's the bloodiest, most unpredictable title war we've seen in years. Defensive security and attacking width, those were the final pieces Arne Slot added. But here's the truth. He hasn't just patched holes in Liverpool's system. He's reinvented it. He's taken a team that once lived and died on moments of Salah's brilliance and transformed it into a collective weapon. Now, creativity, goals, and intensity can come from anywhere. Liverpool aren't stepping into this season as defending champions. They're stepping in as a re-engineered, more ruthless machine. And in a league where every giant has reloaded, they had no choice but to step up. Now let's talk about Manchester City. Yes, you heard that right. Trophyless Manchester City. Strange, isn't it? No Premier League. No Champions League. No FA Cup. Nothing. Pep Guardiola's empire didn't just slow down last season, it collapsed under its own weight. The reasons weren't hard to see. The midfield core that defined their dynasty started to break apart. Kevin De Bruyne, their architect, was constantly battling injuries. Ilkay Gundogan, the man for clutch moments, was already gone. And even Rodri, their heartbeat, missed critical spells. Without that trio, City lost their control. Their dominance faded. Add to it a backline constantly hit by injuries, and suddenly Pep's well-oiled machine looked more like a car stuck in neutral. But Pep Guardiola is not a man who sits still while the empire crumbles. This summer, he struck back. First came Ryan Cherki, a player with shades of De Bruyne's vision, but with younger legs, fearless flair, and the kind of unpredictability City lacked. Then to Johnny Reinders, a midfielder built to replace Gundogan's composure, drive, and perfectly timed late runs into the box. And now, with Rodri returning fully fit, that midfield isn't just restored, it's been reborn. More dynamic. More layered. More dangerous. Defensively, Pep solved another old problem. No more makeshift backlands, No more fullbacks pretending to be centre-backs. City added depth, pace, and physicality to their defense, ensuring the soft goals that cost them last season won't happen again. They may have been humbled, but this is still Manchester City. Wounded, angry, and now rebuilt, they're coming back for revenge. And then, there's Arsenal. For most of last season, they looked destined. The hunger was undeniable. The structure was solid. The belief was real. For months, they went toe-to-toe with Liverpool. But when the pressure turned suffocating in the final stretch, Arsenal collapsed under the weight. It wasn't one disaster, it was death by 1,000 cuts. Dropped points in games they should have killed off. Frustrating draws when they needed wins. Missed chances at the worst possible time. And then came the injuries, just when they needed every soldier fit. Those fine margins, the ones that separate champions from nearly men, slipped away again. The door opened, and Liverpool stormed through it. Arsenal's dream was over before they even realized it. But this summer, Mikel Arteta didn't waste a second. He's on a mission to make sure that collapse never happens again. Mikel Arteta didn't waste time. He went straight for the problems. Arsenal's biggest weakness last season? The lack of a ruthless finisher. So he solved it the only way that matters, by bringing in Victor Gyökeres. He's not flashy. He's not about tricks for the highlight reels. He's efficient. He's lethal. He finishes the chances Arsenal fans had been screaming about for years. That was step one. Then came the issue of depth. Every time Bukayo Saka was overplayed or picked up even the slightest knock, Arsenal's right flank became predictable. That's where Noni Madueke steps in. Direct. Explosive. A genuine goal threat from the wing. Finally, someone who can relieve Saka without the team dropping in quality. And at the back, where injuries to Gabriel left them exposed, Arsenal went for the future. Mats Wiefer-Mascardo, a young, aggressive defender comfortable holding a high line. This isn't just squad building, it's evolution. Arteta hasn't put together a team that's only strong when fully fit. He's built a side with options everywhere, a squad that can survive the chaos of an entire season. Arsenal aren't hopeful anymore, they're built for the long haul. If they can keep their composure when the pressure suffocates again, this could finally be the year the Emirates lifts the Premier League trophy. And then, there's Chelsea. A team once mocked for chaos, now quietly gaining momentum. They didn't roar in the league last season, but beneath the surface, something shifted. A strong run in the Conference League. A Club World Cup title. That wasn't just a trophy, it was a statement. A warning. The rebuild was no longer random. It had direction. For 2 seasons, Chelsea's attack was their curse. No striker. No consistent left winger. Endless build-up without a killer edge. But this summer, the club moved like assassins. The moment the window opened, they struck. Jamie Bino-Gittens was brought in to light up the left wing with pace, flair, and width. Then came the firepower, João Pedro and Liam Delap. Pedro, with his sharp movement and link-up play. Delap, a powerful striker with the physical presence Chelsea have lacked since the days of Diego Costa. Suddenly, this isn't a team of misfits anymore. It's a squad with balance, with purpose, with bite. Chelsea might have been underestimated last season. But now, they're building towards something serious. Quiet no more. What's truly remarkable about Chelsea right now is not just the talent they've brought in, but how balanced and complete the squad finally feels. The midfield, once shaky and predictable, now looks organized and dynamic. The backline, which had been plagued by errors, has found stability and confidence. And with those attacking reinforcements, Chelsea finally have the tools to not just control games with possession but also to finish them off with authority. They're still a work in progress. Nobody's pretending they're flawless, but they are far more dangerous than people realize. If this team can carry over its ruthless European form into the Premier League, then Chelsea won't just be contenders again. They could be ahead of schedule in their return to the top. But while Chelsea are on the rise, another English giant is sinking deeper into crisis. Manchester United. Last season was nothing short of an embarrassment. 15th place in the league. A crushing defeat in the Europa League final. Football so uninspired that even their own fans struggled to watch. And despite all of that humiliation, the club chose to stick with the same manager. At first glance, that decision made no sense. But when you looked deeper, it wasn't just about the manager. The real issue was the squad itself. United had become a team without an identity. There was no chemistry, no structure, and worst of all, no quality in the most important positions. The wings lacked a consistent threat, the midfield was flat and predictable, and the defense collapsed whenever Real pressure arrived. It wasn't just failure, it was chaos. This season, though, United are desperate to flip the script. The manager knows he's on thin ice. One more collapse, and his time is over. That urgency is why the summer rebuild began with one priority: fixing the attack. Enter Matheus Cunha and Bryan Mbeumo. Two players who already know the league, who fight without the ball, and most importantly, who can deliver goals. Cunha gives them aggression, directness, and a forward who won't disappear in the big games. Mbeumo brings what United missed all last year: pace, discipline, and finishing from the flanks. It isn't the sweeping rebuild fans demanded, but it is a statement of intent. The board is betting on fire, fight, and hunger to change the mood inside Old Trafford. But here's the reality: if the players don't respond, if this squad still collapses under pressure, the fall could get even worse than last season. And while United scramble for a recovery, another club that nearly hit rock bottom is plotting a dramatic comeback of its own: Tottenham Hotspur. Their 2024-25 campaign was an outright disaster. 17th place, one spot above relegation. Their lowest finish in decades. For a club that once dreamed of Champions League glory, it was humiliation beyond belief. Spurs looked completely broken. No identity. No fight. No structure. Just a team drifting into irrelevance. But unlike United, Tottenham refused to freeze in fear. They made bold, ruthless changes. The most important of all was the arrival of Thomas Frank. The man who made Brentford a nightmare for Premier League giants, despite working with one of the smallest budgets in the league. A manager who is tactically sharp, fearless under pressure, and relentless at squeezing the best out of his players. And now, for the first time in his career, Frank has the platform, the budget, and the expectations to build something bigger. Something that could push Spurs back into the Champions League race. Then came the transfers. Tottenham didn't just tweak the squad, they tore it apart and rebuilt it. The headline signing was Mohamed Kudus from West Ham. A true game-changer. Explosive, creative, and ruthless in the final third. A player who doesn't just fit into a system, he transforms it. And he wasn't alone. Spurs went deeper into the market, adding quality across the pitch to ensure last season's humiliation would never be repeated. This wasn't just a summer of business, it was a declaration. Tottenham are done being everyone's punchline. They're coming back swinging. With Mohamed Kudus tearing it up on the left side, Tottenham finally have what they've been missing for years: goals, unpredictability, and technical quality from wide areas. Add in Brennan Johnson, who has now evolved into a more versatile option, able to rotate across the front line or even slot centrally, and suddenly Spurs have something they've lacked for years: attacking options. But more importantly, they have something even rarer: a plan. For the first time in a long time, the chaos at Tottenham has been toned down. There's structure. There's direction. The manager knows exactly what he wants, and the players they've brought in fit that vision. Suddenly, Tottenham don't look like a team trying to survive. They look like a team with the firepower and organization to push for the top four. But here's the catch. In today's Premier League, chasing the top four isn't just about battling the so-called traditional Big Six. Because the truth is, there's no top six anymore. Those days are gone. What we have now is a top 10 battleground. Newcastle, Aston Villa, Brighton, Brentford. These aren't just overachievers anymore. They're here to stay. They're building smart, they're competing consistently, and they're shaking up the entire hierarchy of English football. Just look at last season. Newcastle and Villa both finished inside the top 6. Brighton and Brentford made the top 10 again. These clubs aren't flukes. They're blueprints. And if any of the traditional giants slip even slightly, these teams will pounce. Take Newcastle, for example. Yes, they suffered a huge blow this summer when Alexander Isak left for Liverpool. That hurts, no question. But if there's one thing Eddie Howe's Newcastle has proven, it's that they don't panic. They don't throw money blindly. They scout properly, they recruit smartly, and they build pieces that fit the system. This time, their answer was Anthony Elanga. A player still hungry to prove himself, with blistering pace, directness, and the kind of fearless attitude that fits Newcastle's identity. They may have lost a star, but they haven't lost their direction. Then there's Aston Villa. Under Unai Emery, they've become one of the most consistent, structured, and intense teams in the league. He took them from mid-table obscurity straight into Europe in record time. Villa aren't just a dark horse anymore, they're a genuine contender. With Emery's tactical clarity and the club's smart reinforcements, Villa look ready to take another leap forward, especially after coming so close to shaking up the table last season. Brighton, meanwhile, continue to defy the odds. Yes, they've lost players again, just like they always do. But that's the brilliance of Brighton's model. Their recruitment machine keeps churning. The system doesn't break when players leave, it evolves. No matter who's on the pitch, Brighton play with confidence, clarity, and fearlessness. They're no longer a surprise package, they're part of the Premier League's new backbone. And then there's Brentford. A new chapter has begun with Keith Andrews stepping in after Thomas Frank's move to Spurs. It's a big change, no doubt. But Brentford are one of the most structurally solid clubs in England. Their foundation, built on analytics, smart recruitment, and constant player development, remains strong. If Andrews adapts, Brentford aren't going anywhere. They'll continue to punch above their weight and take points off giants who underestimate them. And that's what makes this season different. It's no longer just about Manchester United, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, City, and Spurs battling it out. The league has changed. The top 4, the top 6, even the top 10, all of it is up for grabs. Every week feels like a showdown. Every slip-up is punished. Every match has weight. The Premier League has become a brutal war of survival and ambition. So now the question isn't just, who wins the title? It's, who survives the storm? Which of these giants and challengers will rise, and who will be crushed by the pressure of the most competitive league in the world? Well, that's up to you. Drop your predictions in the comments. Who do you think tops the league this season? Who crashes out of the top 4? And who shocks the world? Let me know down below. Don't forget to subscribe, and check out our latest video for even more football videos.